I renounce my sex, gender, age, race, sexual orientation, religion, political party, and personal philosophy. I renounce my citizenship. I retract the Pledge of Allegiance. I can't pledge to a flag or a people, but pledge to all that live on the earth and the earth itself. I renounce lines on maps, borders, checkpoints, fences, and minefields. I renounce the absurdity of American exceptionalism or any religious, ideological, gender-based, racial, nationalistic, or speciesist exceptionalism. I renounce movie posters with humans holding guns. I renounce electorates who vote for politicians in bed with banks, government contractors, lobbyists, and multinational corporations. I renounce deep and secret government agencies who act with impunity to perpetuate wars and assassinations and even acts of terror against their own citizens, and who disseminate lies, propaganda, and false narratives through a willful and complacent media to advance their dark agendas without oversight or democratic representation. I renounce torture or any compulsive interrogation. I renounce the weaponization of Earth and space. I renounce any organization that would censor or withhold information from the people of the earth in the interest of monopolizing ideas, technology, energy, and historic events, actual or imagined, as well as controlling, coercing, or programming the minds, thoughts, emotions, and ideas of beings. I renounce the usurious enslavement of humans through the banking cabal with unsustainable inflationary models and the stratification of societies into polarizations of godlike wealth versus hell-like realms of pauperism. I renounce the domination, manipulation, subjugation, or extermination of beings due to inequities of technology, intelligence, or by brute force, and celebrate the right to exist of all beings of all dimensions in autonomous self-determination. I renounce the mutilation or removal of child genitalia, the sexualization of children, and all physical, verbal, emotional, and psychological abuse of children. I renounce the exploitation and destruction of the planet for non-renewable resources for profit, under the canonical clause of humans as custodians of the earth, against the credo of scientists and shamans who know that sustainability is based on equilibrium, symbiosis, and mutualism. I renounce real estate speculators, agents, house flippers, slumlords, gentrifiers, and their enablers, banks, corrupt politicians, and those who reap enormous short-term profits at the expense of recessions, foreclosures, homelessness, displacement, destruction of families, suicide, and the sacred right of all people to affordable and safe housing. I renounce the incarceration of beings in non-violent offenses. I renounce the use of gender to marginalize, stigmatize, sexualize, objectify, harass, bully, catcall, camouflage, traffic, enslave, rape, stone, strangle, beat, murder, socially stratify, or qualify in any way that does not support the equality of all beings. I renounce beings who lack the humanity and imagination to understand the subjectivity of gender and the fluidity of sexuality, and who believe all humans should be limited by Stone Age caricatures of gender, where all men are John Wayne and all women are Marilyn Monroe, and who use the idea of God to incite prejudice, bias, hatred, and even violence against the beautiful beings who experience their own identities or lack of identities, whether within or outside the constructs of gender and sexuality. I support the right of self-determination and autonomy of all beings within the confines of their physical bodies. I renounce SWAT bombs, drones, sniper rifles, political assassinations, landmines, vehicle rammings, lie attacks, chemical and biological attacks, public burnings, phosphorus and napalm attacks, intercontinental missiles, and wars and more war. I renounce any state, country, or judicial system that utilizes capital punishment when these same constructs should represent the better nature of collective humanity to lead by example the sacredness of all life. I renounce trolls, hackers, spammers, fake media, paid shills, propagandists, disinformationists, and power constructs including media, governments, religious organizations, and corporations who work to end a free, open, transparent, decentralized internet of neutrality with equal access and the exchange of ideas and information between all people of the earth. I renounce the violent extraction of fossil fuels for the enrichment of corporations at the cost of the destruction of the environment, the poisoning of air, the senseless murder of soldiers and conflict populations, while marginalizing, sabotaging, or eliminating renewable energy developments through powerful lobbyists, banks, corrupt politicians and court systems, propaganda, and misinformation. I renounce billion-dollar fighter planes, bombers, assault rifles, carriers, smart bombs, attack helicopters, nuclear submarines, nuclear missiles, and all other machines of death spawned from bottomless government contracts and paraded over media with jingoistic fervor, while populations starve or die from disease, sickness, lack of education, exposure to the elements, and from the violence of displacement and insanity. I renounce the misappropriation of science from enlightened beings for the purpose of instantly vaporizing thousands of non-combatant men, women, and children, and the existential terrorism of these same weapons used to hold the world hostage with nihilistic ideologies. I renounce the American dream, hallucination, or nightmare of compulsive slavery for trinkets and four walls and TV, and the rent paid or not paid for one more month. I renounce corporations who enslave beings for long hours with little or no compensation under the right to work clause while denying the same beings the right of representation, the right to affordable housing, the right to education, the right to clean water, the right to medical treatment, the right to nutrition, and the right to live a dignified existence. I renounce murder, robbery, rape, assault, and any parasitic human who threatens, bullies, intimidates, or coerces their fellow beings under the narcissistic delusion that their existence takes precedence over the existence of others. I renounce sexism, racism, imperialism, colonialism, ageism, Eurocentrism, nationalism, Zionism, speciesism, or any ism that divides beings. I renounce any law that restricts humans from moving freely over the planet without documentation or identification. I renounce the endless proliferation of human bondage and slavery to subsequent generations through that false god of genetic narcissism. I renounce the perversion of the innocent minds of children with toxic input systems which deny them access to infinite worlds of ideas and the opportunity to exist as peaceful, expressive beings living harmoniously with the planet and all life. I renounce the speciesist murder and genocide of non-human beings in nature or factory farms and the psychopathic duplicity of feeding and caring for beings who have no idea their throats will be slit and their children murdered. I renounce slaves who suck the dicks and vaginas of their oppressors and sell their human birthright for memes and mythologies, calculating their futures with the 6 numbers of a lottery ticket. I renounce peasants who send children to die in wars waving flags like winding sheets in cold winds. I renounce supremacy of the law over life. I renounce police and soldiers and the use of lethal force against populations, many of whom are already spiritually dead from displacement, poverty, insanity, exploitation, and violence. I renounce the economic idea that human lives and bullets are equally cheap. I renounce banks, corporations, governments, and religious institutions, including legislators, presidents, religious leaders, judges, dictators, generals, think tanks, and other profiteers who are the fathers of all modern wars and who enrich themselves through the murder and mutilation of young soldiers, populations, and ecosystems. I renounce any activities solely for profit. I renounce those who claim to represent the interests of God, whether peaceful or violent. I renounce toxic masculinity and the submissive Stepford wives who seek out the sperm of demonic males to perpetuate human barbarity ad infinitum. I renounce believers of anthropomorphic deities with primitive, violent, and nihilistic dogmas. I renounce lethal injections, firing squads, and removal of heads with sharp objects, mass shootings, gas chambers, car bombs, ropes hung from high places, and torture or confinement as a solution to ideological incompatibilities. And if you choose greed over compassion, or profit before sentience, or the bullet or bomb before words, I renounce you. In the words of Rumi, I was a mineral and became a plant. I was a plant and became an animal. I was an animal and became a man. Well, I am human and became sentient. I was sentient and I became